Hello and welcome back to Bobbin's Minecraft Let's Play featuring the Hoarder's Delight mod pack by Nicole BW. I'm Bobbin and you're watching episode 3. When I first started this series I promised I would do 1 to 3 quests a day, and while editing I noticed that I never actually did that in episode 2. So today we're going to turn in 4 quests, and I'll just do them right now because we've got all the stuff. First one I want to turn in is, let's see here, this one, Remember, which involves turning in 128 poppies and gives a very nice reward, a watering can reinforced. So I did do a little more gathering stuff between episodes, and I do have 128 poppies. There they are. Let's turn these in and claim the watering can. Now, if you're not familiar with the watering can, it is from the Extra Utilities mod, and it is used to accelerate the growth of crops. So we've got our crops over here. Here's our wheat, and you'll notice that some of it in the middle here is not fully mature yet. If we get the watering can out and start spraying this wheat, you can just sort of magically see it grow before your eyes. It speeds things up quite a bit. That's going to be most useful actually on this crop, which is mostly ready to be harvested, not quite all of it, but because we're going to need a lot of this stuff and we're going to want to get a lot of it early, so I'm probably going to stand over this garden patch watering this Minicio just to be able to make some of the seeds that we need for a while to get us a good early start. Alright, so the next quest I want to turn in is this one, Crinkle. Since I was mentioning the magical crops, we're actually going to start this with a Master Infusion Stone, which will allow us to make any seed that we have the materials for. We don't have to complete the progression for magical crops step by step, the mod pack designer, in exchange for 128 paper giving us the end game for that, which is fine because we are going to need it to produce all of our different metals and so forth. So let's get 128, maybe just a little more, 129 sugarcane to make into paper. Botania adds this storage block for sugarcane, which is kind of nice. And put that back. So now with one paper left over, we can turn it in, and we will claim the Master Infusion Stone. This stone is what is used to convert this essence into the next tier up. So if we were to go and pull out the crafting thing here, which I never seem to remember, and put this in here, and put 4 of these in here, I can get the yellow one. And in fact, if I get the yellow one, I can put 4 of those in there. Actually, this is the orange one. This is the yellow one. And we get one of those. So you see that we're going to have to get a lot of this stuff to get very far with it. These things can be converted back into the prior form just by combining them by themselves in the crafting table. So we can go back and forth with them as we need. And that's going to be a critically important resource. So I'm going to go ahead and put this away in the strong box. The next quest in the journal that I want to complete today is collect your seed, which will give us a hoe. This is an unbreakable hoe. I wasn't able to figure out any special attributes it had other than being unbreakable. Maybe it does have more. But we're going to need 128 seeds. And you don't see 128 of them there, but Natura adds this storage block for them called a wheat seed bag. This can also be clicked on the ground to sow a 3x3 area. I probably won't need to do that, But there's our 128 seeds with 7 to spare. Manual submit, claim reward, and now we have the hoe. So, the last quest that I'm going to do today is the one that involves turning in hardened clay. Right here, make it hardened. And this is going to give us a helmet. The helmet by itself is a nice helmet. But a really nice thing about this is that if you collect the full set of this armor, and we will get a full set of it by completing all of these quests, we'll gain creative mode flying, and so we will be able to fly wherever. It also negates falling damage, I believe. So that'll be nice when we have that full set of armor. We're obviously on peaceful, so we don't have to worry about mobs, but it is still nice to have the abilities that the armor gives. So one of the biomes that I ran into while I was hunting for stuff was in fact a mesa, and so I was able to get all the hardened clay that I needed, plus some, with just a single swipe of the pick using Vein Miner. So let me turn this in and we'll get the reward. And we now have a purple head on an otherwise unarmored Steve. And I don't need the diamond hoe anymore. So, now that I've turned in the quest, what am I going to do for the rest of the episode? Well, today I'm going to set up automation for a couple of basic things. I do want to get some basic generation of metal going, and I want to start producing one of the items for the quests. And so let's start with the metals production. I've already made all the machines and put them in a chest here. And the first thing we're going to need is we're going to need some lava. So I made a couple of these crucibles from X-Nilo, and to get our first bit of lava from them, we can just use a torch to heat the crucible. So I'm going to come back here and dig a hole and put some torches in there. And now we have 2 crucibles, and the way this works is we just need to, I don't want to do it that way, load these up with cobblestone. And they produce 1 lava block for every 4 cobblestone, I think. And you can see it's ticking along. It says melting speed 1.0, and it is gradually creating some lava here. When we get our first 2 blocks of lava, I will replace the torches underneath the crucibles with lava, and it will speed up this process quite a bit. Enough so that we can use lava for fuel to run a dynamo or two to manage some stuff we're going to do here. What we're actually going to do while we're waiting on that is I'm going to produce lava to run these dynamos, and then I'm going to use an Igneous Extruder to produce cobblestone, which will go back into the crucibles back there to produce more lava. It will also go into a series of 3 pulverizers that will produce gravel and dust, and the gravel and dust will go into this automatic sieve, which will sift it down into items that we can use for metal ores. One of the things that we'll have to do with that is we'll have to take and convert that back into blocks, and when we have it in blocks, we will actually have ores that we can smelt without having to go and dig for them. There will be more cobble than can be processed, I think, and for that it will all go, the extra will just go into this hardened cache. For now, I'm not immediately automating the smelting of the ore. I will probably run a conduit over to this box with a filter on it to go ahead and grind that down. Maybe not today, but eventually. All this stuff will be much better organized once I get the big base going, but I've got to get something going to start with before I actually do that. So we're up to 200 and 80-ish thousandths of a bucket of lava. So it's pretty slow with the torch. It will be faster once I get lava blocks under there. Let's see what else. As you saw earlier, I have actually grown quite a bit of stuff for crops. So we're making some progress there. One of the other things that I did was I caught some animals. Um, so let's just bring these carrots over there because pigs are one of the animals that I'm going to have quite a few of. And that's because of this quest. 128 cooked pork chops, and it gives the chest plate to that armor set. The other things that I need animals for cakes, I'm going to need eggs and milk. And so I've got chickens and I've got a cow. So oh yeah, also this one requires wool, and it specifically requires yellow wool. So you may notice that my sheep are yellow. Rather than collect the wool and then dye the wool, what I did was I got 2 sheep and I dyed them both yellow, and then I have been breeding the sheep here, and they all produce yellow wool. So I'm collecting tons of yellow wool without having to use any additional resources in terms of dye to do something with that. So let's get rushed by pigs. Um, Carrots put pigs in such a good mood. Let's see. And then is there another pair? Maybe there and there. Okay, let's shear some sheep while I'm in here. Looks like I picked up quite a few eggs. Now, you might notice that while I've got multiple chickens, pigs, and sheep, I only got 1 cow. And that's actually intentional. I could have brought another cow in, but I'm going to set a little bit of a personal challenge for myself here. You need millions of milk in order to finish all of this stuff, but I think I can get all of it from 1 cow. And so unless this cow dies or something and has to be replaced, I'm going to get all of my milk from 1 cow. So this is the cow that we're going to start with. That is for automating this stuff in just a little bit. So egg, sheep, or eggs, wool, feathers. We're getting pretty close to getting enough wool. Nowhere close to enough feathers. Need 100,000 of those. And how are we doing over here on lava? Not quite 3/4. So the other thing I want to automate today is over here. You briefly saw the equipment for it. I am going to start automating the production of cakes. And for that, since this is a long way from where I've got my lava generation going on, I've made a solar panel 2 and a hardened energy cell to store power collected during the day so that we can run it at night. And I'm going to use the Mine Factory Reloaded Rancher to collect wool and milk. For now, I'll probably just manually pick up eggs every once in a while. The best way that I have found to do that is to take and put a chicken directly on top of a hopper and cage it in, and all of the eggs will just fall through. A little more advanced solution would be something like some sort of chest that picks things up automatically, or some other thing, a hopper hawk from Britannia maybe. This also will not produce much milk because the cow will not be particularly close to it a lot of the time. It will just take however long it takes to collect the milk. But what I'm going to use to actually make the cake is this cyclic assembler. This is a crafting machine from Thermal Expansion. It uses a schematic, which is a blueprint for the particular item you're going to craft. You set that up. I'll show all that in a little bit. And one of the things that it will do is if a liquid bucket is one of the ingredients, it will fill the liquid from an internal tank in here. So I can any milk that the rancher collects, I can just pipe straight into the cyclic assembler and use it to bake a cake without having to worry about filling buckets and so on in the meantime, which is pretty convenient. The other thing is that we can save quite a bit of wheat by making this wheat flour, and I'll just make a couple of stacks of that and throw that in there. So I won't automate the production of wheat flour just now. Eventually I will. Eventually I'll have to make 100,000 cakes because you've got to have it for some of those Britannia runes. But for this, with just 128 of them, I'll make 2 stacks of wheat flour and go with it from there. So this will be the next project after I set up the ore processing, which hopefully the lava is getting close over here and we can make a little more progress on. So it is over a bucket of lava in that one, not this one. Oh, yeah, it's got 1,000 in this one too. Okay, we can look down there and see the lava in it. Let's go ahead and get it started on the next little bit in that one. And conserve my torches. Don't ever want to lose an item, although for a torch it's probably not that big a deal. So let's get the lava out of here and put it there. And the lava out of here and put it there. Then put the dirt blocks back so I don't burn myself up. Alright, so now it's going twice as fast as it was with a torch. I'm probably going to use lava for most of the power production in the base, but when I get that far I will not actually use lava as the material under here. An even faster thing you can do is to use blazing pyrotheum. This stuff actually will melt lava 7 times as fast as a torch. I think it's the fastest thing you can use under the crucible. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I'll use underneath this. This stuff sets fire all over the place. This is nasty stuff to work with, but it is nice for generating lava so that you can power your base with it. So that's what I'll use. So in order to keep this thing in Cobble, I'm going to need to set up an Igneous Extruder. This is a block from Thermal Expansion. It makes your choice of cobblestone, smooth stone, or obsidian. For cobblestone, you only ever need 1 bucket of lava and 1 bucket of water, and if you have 1 bucket of each, it will sit there and produce cobblestone. For smooth stone, you only ever need 1 bucket of lava, but you do have to continuously supply it with water because it uses water. And so you have to have some mechanism of getting water. We're not going to make smooth stone with this one, so I'm not worried about that. For obsidian, it consumes both the lava and the water, and you have to supply both. It is a typical thermal expansion machine in that it has different sides that can be configured to do various things. Blue means input, and I actually don't need any inputs at all on this one. Let's get rid of all the inputs. And I am going to have this thing eject out of, let's eject out of both the top and the right side over here. Just like that. And I will take my, I already got a bucket here. And just put a bucket of water in it. When I have a bucket of lava, I'll put a bucket of lava in it. I'm going to need a bunch of these conduits that were supplied with one of the quests. And we'll connect these up this way. These are going to insert. I'm just right-clicking on this thing and picking the mode I want it in, and it's going to insert cobble into these. The cobble is going to come out of here, so this is going to be extracting. The machine spits this stuff out automatically, and so I don't believe that with these Ender IO things you need to do this, but I'm going to set to where it's always active so it doesn't care if it's getting a redstone signal or not. It just spits that cobble straight out of there. Then I am also going to need to send cobble into a pulverizer. The pulverizer will grind cobble up into sand, which will go in this red slot, and no, it grinds it up into gravel, which goes into the red slot. It will occasionally generate sand as a byproduct, which goes into the yellow slot. The cobble itself goes into the blue slot. So we're bringing the cobble in on the bottom, so I want blue down there. And I'm going to spit the gravel out to the right over here. So that's where the red port's going to go. And then I need to send the sand somewhere, and I think I'm going to send it out of the top. So that's the yellow one. So this one is going to take as its input what's being ejected from out of the gravel that's coming from that machine over there, and it's going to send its product out to the right, which its product is sand, and I'm going to go ahead and have it send its byproduct, which is dust, out the top. And then this one, same general idea. This one is taking only sand, and it's going to take it from the right, but it is also going to take it from the top, and it will not produce any byproducts at all. So we're just going to send it straight out the side here. In fact, if it does produce any byproducts, we'll shoot them out the side too. So the orange basically combines these two slots, and so they're going to go out the right over here. Now I have a sieve. I only have one at the moment, so if I get anything, I may not be able to handle all the materials I'm getting, so we'll just have to see how that works out. But we should basically be getting dust off of this line, which means that if we look at the recipes for this thing, with dust we will get glowstone and redstone, various powdered metals, and bone meal and blaze powder. If we were to do sand, we would get various sorts of ores that are crushed rather than ore dust. It doesn't really matter, they still produce metals. We would have a chance of getting ancient spores, which can be used to grow mycelium, exotic seed, cactus seeds, or cocoa beans. I'm probably not going to be grinding up a whole lot of sand because anything that it produces here can be produced some other way. Dirt, I'm not going to sieve any of that. Probably don't need any of these and won't have much tainted soil. Netherrack, no. The other one that's of interest here is gravel. Gravel produces coal, lapis, diamond, and emerald, and we are going to want those things, so I am going to have to sieve gravel at some point. In stone, there's a lot of different things we can sieve. I'll probably sieve some soul sand at some point. For the moment I only have one sieve, and I'm going to specifically make it do dust. And the way I would do that is would normally be put a filter on here, but I don't have a filter handy, and I may make one, but I probably won't make one until I get another sieve. So this will just have to do for now. And then finally, all of this stuff will be going into, let's put the diamond on the near side, and that one there. So this block is an auto packager, and it will take, if we look at this again, the dust, these this powdered platinum ore, you combine 4 of them to actually get an ore block that is smeltable. And we're going to have to make a lot of these 4x4 blocks of it. That's what this block does. This block makes it basically is an automatic crafting table that makes things that use a 4x4 or 3x3 pattern. The default is to do 2x2 or 2x2 then 3x3. However, it tries the 2x2 first. That can be changed by shift clicking on it, I believe, but I'm not going to do that because I don't need to do that right now. So we'll just pipe this in here and extract out of there and push into there. And this machine will require power, so I'll have to get power hooked up on this. In the meantime, all of this stuff over here can go through there. Okay, this one was an extract. And this one's actually an insert. And then I'm going to have to make sure that the overflow still goes somewhere. And any overflow I get, I will just go ahead and put in here as well. And I can use my wrench to keep these from getting mixed up. It doesn't really matter. You know, since it doesn't matter, I could, well, it doesn't save a conduit. Yeah, it does. It'll save a conduit just to go ahead and do it that way. Now, the power can go along the top, down and across over here. And this machine does require power. Incidentally, it pulls out of the left side and pushes the result into the right side. Anything that cannot be packaged up will just sit over here on the right side, which was why I went ahead and made this the larger chest. I'll probably upgrade this chest too because I'm still in the stage of moving stuff around manually. Alright, do I have enough lava here? Yes, I do. So let's put some lava in here, and we're going to see it's going to start combining to produce cobblestone, which we never actually see in the middle slot because it spits out immediately, and we have cobblestone accumulating in our crucibles now without having to do anything. We are probably also accumulating, not yet. Oh, I haven't even hooked it up to do that yet, have I? Yeah, I have. Oh, no, I haven't. One of the things you sometimes have to do down here is get down there. This is now set to insert, so that's required in order to get it to do its thing. Now that we have lava being produced, I need to move it into dynamos. So I'm going to have to set up some dynamos, and I will just connect them up right here. This is kind of sloppy, but I'll be a lot neater when I get the real base going. So, alright. So we've got our dynamos here. I've just got to get lava into them. For that, I'm going to need some conduits that can handle liquids. Here we go. Now the conduits I'm about to make are really terrible fluid conduits. These take in, it extracts 50 millibuckets per tick, which is plenty for this application, but it says that fluid flow respects gravity and flow rate dependent on fluid viscosity, which basically means it's slow, and if you you have to have a lot going on behind it to actually push anything uphill very far. Um, I believe it will still do this because we're just going across level. Alright, so we are inserting in here and inserting in there, and oh, I just messed that up. Let's see, we're actually inserting there. The fluid one is this one here. We are extracting from here. And extracting from here. So we now have power. So with power being produced from this lava, it's going into the machine. So the first machine has got power and is fired up and is grinding its first piece of cobble. It just sent its first piece of gravel into the pulverizer, so it's grinding up gravel. And it just sent its first piece of sand over into this pulverizer. Which just sent out dust that went into the sieve. Which produced a random assortment of items, just gunpowder this time looks like, and sent it over here. And so we've made our first resource from cobblestone. But anyway, we've got power going. It's gradually going to fill these bars up completely if I'm generating enough power. I may not be with just 2 dynamos. But I can add more if I have to. I might have to add more crucibles if I do that to keep the lava sufficient. This will do for now. And it's dark and raining. Alright, coming over here, I want to set up the rancher. And so I'm going to need power here too. So as I mentioned before, I created a hardened energy cell and a solar panel too. For that purpose, I just need to figure out a place to put this. I think I'll put it, let's see, let me put the rancher down first, because that will determine where I need to deal with the power. So I think I'm going to have a crowd of animals coming over here right away. Let me see if I can get this thing down, and then get some blocks on top of it to keep animals from getting out. That's actually why I brought this marble over here, was to go and alright. So the rancher requires energy. It does work. It's got an idle so that it doesn't just sit there and go constantly. It's going to produce milk, which I'm going to pipe out of the bottom, I think. And that will go in this machine, as long as there's an input on the bottom, which there is. To make sure that this is inserting, I'm going to come down here, set that to insert, and to make sure it's extracting over here, I'll have to come over here and set this to extract and turn off the requirement for a redstone signal. Alright, the other item that we'll need to go over here, I'll just take all this stuff. Is a chest, because mostly what it's going to do, because there's so many more of them, is shear sheep, and it will toss the wool in there. Now to power this, I think, I think I'll put the cell down there, put the solar panel directly on top of it, and then I can run a conduit here. The conduits usually don't have to be adjusted. Their default settings pretty much always work. One thing I am going to have to do is make sure that the cell is inputting on the top and outputting out the bottom and the front. So you see these little orange corners here. It's outputting on this side. And we're even generating a little bit of power in there, despite the rain. Alright, once I get the appropriate materials, I can bake a cake. And I can't do it yet because one of the materials I'm going to need is sugar, and I didn't bring any with me. So let me come over here and harvest my sugar cane. Alright, so to set up the schematic, I'm going to put in my 3 buckets of milk, my 2 sugar, my egg, and my wheat flour. It shows that that makes a cake. Hit the check mark, and storming. So it says here that it's ready to produce a cake, and I can tell it to eject the cake, and it's got an output over there. So as soon as it gets enough milk from these cows, it will bake a cake. And with that, I think we've done everything that I wanted to do today, and it's getting a little long on the episode, so I am going to go ahead and say goodbye at this point, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.